around those two, bring in pieces. They're not going to have the flexibility to bring in, at least through free agency, a high-level star, but they've improved themselves in this offseason. There's no question about that. Dennis Schroeder, Marc Gasol. But for Anthony Davis now, 5-year deal, I'm told there'll be an early termination option on it after the 4th year. So he'll be under contract 1 more year than LeBron James. And Anthony Davis will be 32 years old potentially when he goes back in to free agency, young enough to get another massive deal, assuming he stays healthy.
Why LeBron in the extension now? Why not wait for LeBron?
Yeah, it was an option to keep doing it the way he had done it, which was on shorter-term deals. As he re-signed in Cleveland, you saw that. He did shorter deals. But I think it was locking in that $80 million plus. When you get into your mid-30s and advancing, it's hard to imagine there's an injury or a scenario that the Lakers wouldn't continue to pay LeBron James. But he gets that security now. He's locked in. Certainly, I think it speaks to a player who is focused on his future in LA, that there's nowhere to go from the Lakers. And so he's got AD locked in. I think AD, listen, they're if you want to say they're co-stars right now in LA, certainly AD is the centerpiece of LA's future. Although with LeBron James, you get the feeling he's going to play as long as he wants to, that he'll be, that he could still be at a high level into his 40s. It's remarkable the way he's taking care of his body and how there's been little, if any, drop-off in his game. So, the Lakers are in great position. They've got great role players around these two. And I think you've seen in history, I think with the Lakers, especially when they're bringing in like the veteran minimum players, they get guys who want to win championships, who might take less money or take those 1-year deals to come in and be complementary players on a team, do it in LA, do it at Staples Center, and do it with 2 players in James and Anthony Davis who've shown that they coexist for all the problems elsewhere in the league, and you see it everywhere. Star players who cannot figure out how to play together. It was as if Anthony Davis and LeBron James had been playing together forever from the moment they got together last season.
Well, let's talk about star players that didn't feel if they can play together. I mean, the John Wall, Bradley Beal situation in D.C., and then you obviously have the Russell Westbrook and James Harden situation in Houston. Massive trade. Last time I remember, though, Woj, Raphael Stone and Tommy Shepard hadn't talked for a while. Where did this come from?
They hadn't talked. They hadn't talked since prior to the draft, and that was up until yesterday afternoon. Russell Westbrook's agent, Thad Fouché with Wasserman, I'm told, got them talking, got them on the phone yesterday and helped to bridge that gap. And once those two got on the phone, they worked through the details. You knew it was going to be a one-for-one trade, Wall for Westbrook. They worked out the details of that future first-round pick that's going to go to Houston, the protections on that pick. And, Jay, they had a deal done within a couple hours. It's not typical a deal of that magnitude comes together that quickly in one afternoon, but it did yesterday.
Well, do you think, does that set the precedent for a guy like Raphael Stone, the general manager of the Houston Rockets, that he couldn't get the value that he actually wanted for Russell Westbrook? Will that be the same for James Harden? Do you think he then all of a sudden now looks to find a deal for James Harden, or does he hold on to James Harden?
I think they're going to hold on to James Harden, and I think, it's easier to if you're going to trade a supermax player, you almost have to find another supermax player to trade him for because they make so much money. And they were able to partner up and do that. And they did get a first-round pick moving forward for him, for Westbrook certainly. And, there's a gamble for both sides. And I think for both Washington and Houston, they want to keep Bradley Beal in Washington. They want to keep James Harden in Houston. And they want to continue to build around those players. But they need these point guards to come in and fit in. They need Wall to regain his all-star form. I think they need Russell Westbrook, to find a chemistry with Bradley Beal. I know this about Russell Westbrook right now. One thing that's bothered him has been the talk out there about him as a teammate. He takes great pride in being a great teammate, and he's heard some knocks about that. And I know it's bothered him because it's something that is important to him. And you talk to the guys who played with him in OKC in his career and Houston, on the rest of that roster, he came in and changed his game, learned to play off the ball. It didn't work out in James Harden's eyes, but I know it's important for Westbrook to come in and find a rhythm with Bradley Beal and really fit into that team. And remember, he's going back to play with his old coach from Oklahoma City, Scotty Brooks.
Well, I need a quick answer on this one. What are you hearing about the way James Harden is handling all this now? CP3 got injured. Russell Westbrook had some injury issues with his hamstring during the bubble. Now you bring on a guy in John Wall who's coming off an Achilles injury. DeMarcus Cousins coming off an injury. How's he handling everything?
Well, he's not committed to wanting to stay there. The trade, I'm told, doesn't necessarily change his view of wanting to move on. But the Rockets do have something on their side. They have time. He's still got 2 years left on his deal. But listen, they've given in Houston a lot of leeway, a lot of freedom to James Harden over the last several years under previous ownership, under the new ownership. They've really built an organization around him in every way, on the court, off the court. But I know it's important for Westbrook to come in and find a rhythm with Bradley Beal and really fit into that team. And remember, he's going back to play with his old coach from Oklahoma City, Scotty Brooks.
Well, I need a quick answer on this one. What are you hearing about the way James Harden is handling all this now? CP3 got injured. Russell Westbrook had some injury issues with his hamstring during the bubble. Now you bring on a guy in John Wall who's coming off an Achilles injury. DeMarcus Cousins coming off an injury. How's he handling everything?